Hi everyone, and welcome to Tea with
CNC.
And today we want to introduce ourselves to all of you. So I'm Chelsea.
I'm Candace. We're reintroducing ourselves because we did a first episode, but you guys don't really know much about us. So we thought we would give you kind of some insight into who we really are.
Yeah.
And
Do
our
you want
journey.
to start us off?
Start us off. So I'm 31. I'm turning 32 in September. I guess like
Twin.
Twin, yeah, because as you know, Chelsea's born 3 days after me, same year. Yeah, I guess like a surprising fact about me is, for those that don't know me personally, is I have a 14-year-old son. So I had my son when I was in high school, when I was 17. And yeah, but like I love the journey of motherhood. I've really developed and matured since then, and yeah, it's been a very interesting but fun journey.
And he's the best nephew.
Yeah, like,
And I feel like I just rode along on the fancy ride with you.
Chelsea spoiled him. Chelsea spoiled him.
I love him. I love being perceived through children because they're so honest and so like, I don't know, it's like sometimes I feel like
Unconditioned, not conditioned.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they have like a different awareness. Each generation I feel like is more aware of
Right.
like the Matrix. They're like, what?
Like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah. And
I'm not
it's
doing what you guys
cool.
did.
It's cool to see how he is as a child because he is the version of you that you are now, but he's very different from how you were as a child.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. But yeah, Chelsea, when I first became pregnant, obviously unplanned, in high school.
She was 17, it was planned.
The funny thing is, people thought it was planned because a few of my other friends also got pregnant the same year, and it's like, we're not that stupid. I mean, we were stupid to get pregnant, but not that stupid to plan it at 17, okay? 16, 17.
Pregnancy pack.
Yeah, but yeah, Chelsea always has been supportive. Like, even back then when, you know, I lost a one or two friend because, you know, their parents were judgmental or didn't want their daughters around me anymore. Chelsea always showed up. Like, she planned my first baby shower.
Oh my gosh, when I think about that, I literally died because like when you're a teenager, like your idea of like a party, like you've seen baby showers, but they're things for like adults, you know, for like your older family or whatever. And so you never think to have to like plan one. And it's just like, I just think back and I'm just like, it's so hysterical. Like we ordered pizza.
Girl, we didn't have money.
didn't.
Like, you did the best you could. Like, what did we have at 17, 16, 17? I was 16 when I got pregnant, but I had him at 17.
Yeah.
Who had money? Like, we're using our parents' funds. You're using your parents' funds what you could.
Oh,
like,
for sure. I was like, Mom, can I have Candace's baby shower here? And it's funny because my sister also has a very close friend who got pregnant really young, and my mom had her baby shower at the house too. And
shout out to Kathy.
Shout out to Kathy.
Shout out to Chelsea's mom. Supportive as always.
Yeah. And also, like, she is very, like, spiritual and, like, artistic. And, like, I feel like those people are very, like, open. And, like, my friends would always be like, oh, your mom's such a cool mom. But it's funny because she was very different with her kids. Like, when I had a pregnancy scare, or I thought I was pregnant. I was so stupid. When I was younger, I was so paranoid about getting pregnant.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't even paranoid, but I was more so paranoid about catching something.
Okay.
And also, like, just, like, super gay. So I was just, like, internalizing all this, like, I don't know what I'm going to get from men. Not much. But I would. So then, at one time, I took, like, the morning after pill because, like, the condom broke. And I told my mom, like, oh, I think I'm pregnant because I took a pregnancy test. I didn't know that if you take the morning after pill, it gives you the symptoms of a pregnancy. So I took a pregnancy test. I was pregnant on the test. I wasn't actually pregnant.
Like,
you're like, you announced this now? And I told my mom, and she was just like, absolutely not. Like, no. Like, and it's funny because, like, as we're talking about ourselves and, like, why we're doing this podcast and, like, our journeys growing up, like, I felt like that was a big thing in my family. It's like everyone perceived my family as, like, being so open and, like, diverse, like, in terms of, like, culture and sexual identity and stuff like that. but it was hard within the family.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of families are like
outsiders.
that. Yeah, like we're cool with whatever you guys got going on over there.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah.
Honestly, my mom was very supportive. First of all, she had a dream like a few days after I found out. She had a dream, so I ended up just telling her after she expressed her dream to me, because I'm like, that's just wrong, like, to continue hiding this if like she literally had a dream about it. She saw me pregnant in the dream. And so yeah, my mom was supportive. She was more so like, what's gonna happen with your future, your education, like what do you want to do? You know, she asked me like, what do I want to do? My dad, I hid it from him for quite a while until my brother exposed me. And then we didn't talk for a while because, you know, my dad's more strict. He's more like, obviously he didn't want it to ruin my life. He felt like I had a bright future ahead of me. You're his baby.
I'm his baby. I'm the baby of the family. So yeah, but we eventually got over it, and he loves my son. He's the best grandfather. Yeah, he does. So he brings him stuff, like he gives him money. He spends time with him. Like, he's so happy to be his grandfather, to be honest. I'm not jealous of many things, but my friends with dad. Do you think you're better than me? If you guys know that TikTok, you know that TikTok. No, but really, the way they show up is so amazing. Speaking of education, though, because you did go on to get your education and further your education, I feel like that has a lot to do with the influence of some of the topics we want to talk about. True. So, tell us, Candace. Before I get into that, though, we forgot to mention our tea of the day. Oh. So our tea of the day. Why did we look like we just got tea? We're both like, we just got tea. Ooh. Our tea of the day is vanilla rooibos tea. And it has lots of health benefits. Like, it helps decrease the chances of attaining cancer. It also is high in antioxidants. That's the word, antioxidants. And it could be good for like your blood pressure as well. So yeah, hopefully you can look into maybe getting some, and it actually tastes great as well. Oh my god, it's delicious. The vanilla, anything with vanilla, yeah, I love it. Okay, tell me about your education. Okay, so, well, my parents put a lot of pressure on me about like making sure I was educated, you know. It was like I couldn't be a failure, and I had a lot to prove after I got pregnant. So I did go on to go to university, and I went to York. I actually was on the Glendon campus most of the time, which is like the bilingual campus here in Toronto, Canada. Yeah, it's actually in North York, Canada. But honestly, my French isn't that great, but it's okay because at least I can understand. So, but yeah, so I did a degree in psychology, a 4-year bachelor's of arts, and I also did a law and social thought certificate, which is like a philosophy certificate. So yeah, I went on to do that. I was going to be a therapist. That's what I wanted to be initially, but midway through I didn't want to do that anymore. But I'm not a quitter, so and I had something to prove, you know. I didn't want to waste money. I wanted to make sure that I made my parents and family proud. I had something to prove to myself as well, that I could do it even though I had a child young. So yeah, and that experience led you to having your own practice at one point. You wrote a book that had a lot of philosophical. Shout out to my book. It's on Amazon still, From the Reservoir of Resilience. Go get that. If I haven't already bought it for you, go get it. Chelsea also has a book. Shameless plug. You better shout it out. Oh yeah. It's These Few Words. These Few Words. It's a digital book. It's a digital book. Yeah, you can get it on the Kindle Amazon. Yeah. Thank you, Candace. You're welcome. I'm like, I don't know how to do a plug. You gonna do this. You gonna do this plug. In terms of like my experience with like philosophy, and just my general interest in like psychology, it came from being very mentally ill. And like in my upbringing, I was like dealing with a lot of trauma, and then I started partying really young, and I incorporated just like not great like addictive behavior mixed in with like my partying, mixed in with like dealing with trauma, And when I was like 19, maybe even a little younger, I kind of just like hit a wall where I was just like, it was like a real, there were like a few things that happened that was like a real wake-up call in my life. And that's kind of where my journey with like therapy started. So I started doing therapy. I've been doing it for like the past decade now, maybe a little more actually. And not just talk therapy. I went to group therapy. I did movement therapy, and I'm always trying new things. I recently did like ecstatic dance, breath work, meditation, Reiki. Also, you know, not indulging in certain things and just becoming more aware. I've always loved to read. My father and my mother and my brother are all like big readers, and I felt like being the youngest, it was like my thing of like intelligence that I was like, because I hated school, because I hated following directions, and I don't like learning about shit I don't want to learn about, and I don't like learning a view, this perspective of the world that we all know is bullshit, essentially. Like, I want to read about things that I know are true and are real and are purposeful. And so yeah, I would read and I would write, and that I kind of just self-educated. Every time I've tried to go to school, I've dropped out pretty quickly. It's been a dub.
But it's because Chelsea's hella creative. Like, she's an actress, she's a model, she's a writer, she's a makeup artist. Like, she's amazing at these things. She's a comedian. She's literally has done stand-up comedy. Like, she's hilarious, you know, if you get to know her. And like, she doesn't talk.
I sounded so somber just now. I'm like, yeah, you know, I did. And
she doesn't like big up herself.
She's a comedian.
Yes,
She's hysterical when she's not talking about this mental health shit.
No, she's honestly amazing, and like, she's a genius. I think she's a creative genius, and she really needs to like share more of her talents with the world.
Thank
and
you.
Not everybody is supposed to walk the same path. You know what I mean? Like, I'm an intellectual. I'm like, I've always been like a bookworm. Like, I would always go off and like pretend I'm teaching like my stuffed animals, and like, you know. So like,
it was probably group therapy.
Group therapy with the stuffed animals and the dolls.
I used to pull up to your house, and your mom used to be like, one day Candace is going to be a therapist. Because I would like run away from home and come down the street and come stay at your house. Your mom would just catch us in the basement. I'd be like, hitch up on the couch, like, yeah. And then, you know, but it's funny because we were also completely different children. Like, you got pregnant when you were young. But if we had had people guessing on like, who do you think's gonna get pregnant when they're young, they would have said me. Because I was never following the rules. I was always getting suspended. I was always like out partying. And you were like, school, like, I'm gonna hustle. I want to do this, A, B, C. I'm gonna get out of this country.
Yeah, I had big plans to leave and like study in France, and
so happy she got knocked up.
I'm just kidding.
Girl, I missed my best friend.
Girl, but yeah, honestly, God had a different plan. Life had a different plan for me. And
your kid is just like me.
He
doesn't follow the rules.
Yeah, he's a rebel. He's a rebel. He's a good kid though. He's fun, but he definitely does not like taking the conventional route of anything. He doesn't care about like getting the best grades in school and whatever, but he's very smart, great with technology, very much into science. An
independent thinker.
Yeah, and an independent thinker, very original thinker.
But that's the thing about like children these days too, is like, we were just talking about this with Diana and her kids, about how like, you can't raise well behaved by like society's standards of children that also stick up for themselves, because they're gonna stick, if they don't stick up for themselves against you, they're not gonna stick up for themselves
against
anywhere.
Other people. They're not gonna have a voice. Like, and that's the thing, like, I've had to spend so many years overcoming people pleasing, because I was like that quiet child that followed the rules, did what everybody wanted me to do, did my work. Bless you. Bless you.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
Did my work, got good grades. You know, my parents obviously were not paying attention that I might be having sex, because I was still doing well in school. You know, they weren't getting calls from the teachers. So yeah, it's just like, sometimes you have to make sure your child is confident and outspoken, and sometimes even questions you or challenges you if you want them to have autonomy over themselves.
Yeah.
And know when they're uncomfortable with other people. You know, I feel like in life I did a lot of saying yes when I shouldn't have, or when I wasn't necessarily the most comfortable, but I just felt like I want to please this person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like I'm just like, I've been having like a vulnerability hangover recently. Like, we did this podcast, I started a new work from home job, I moved back to Toronto.
Yeah.
And I feel like just in general in life, I've been speaking up more for myself. I've been setting boundaries. I've been being myself authentically, like 100% of the time, regardless of what the consequences are.
Yeah.
And I'm having a vulnerability hangover.
Good.
Like,
that sounds like a good thing. It sounds like a good type of hangover to have. You know what I mean? It sounds like a good hangover to have.
I mean, it's not, it's that the best of the hangovers.
Right.
But it does feel a little bit like, I don't know, it feels like if you went on like 10 amazing dates, but they were all like first dates in a matter of like 10 days in a row, and you're just like, oh my god, every day you're putting yourself out there, like in some way, like especially with creative projects. Because my friend Kenzie, shout out to you, she's releasing music, and so her and I were talking about her releasing music, and she was talking about it in relation to herself. And I said to her, if you're gonna put out any type of creative project, you have to trust that the project can stand on its own.
Facts.
This is not about, oh, me and you, the speakers, the renowned speaker. It's like, no, this is a podcast, and this is what we talk about on here, and if you're interested in these things, join in the conversation.
Exactly. This is not perfection, okay? This is authenticity. This is what we're bringing. Authenticity, not perfection. You know what I mean? Like, as we go on in the progress, it will get better. In the process, it will get better. But, you know, it's about progress, not perfection.
Yeah, and it's about putting yourself out there and knowing that you're no better and no worse than anyone else, and meeting everybody eye level as humans and being like, hey, do you want to have a conversation?
Exactly.
Do you want to talk to each other and get to know each other and explore these different topics together? And I think that when you let a project stand on its own, you're not so intimidated. Like, you don't have to attach yourself so much to your work. I found drawings from when I was 10 years old, and I'm still proud of them. I'm still proud of poems that I did when I was a kid.
Even if they don't make it out to other people, like, that's the thing. It's like, even when I wrote my book, it was therapeutic for me. You know what I mean? And then it was like, okay, I could share this with others. You know what I mean? But it's like, sometimes when you want to create, it's just about doing it, like doing the act, you know, like releasing, you know. And at the end of the day, it's not about constantly planning and getting into this like analysis paralysis where you get stuck and you don't do anything. You know what I mean? Bless you. Bless you.
And sometimes things like this happen, and it's great because it's going to teach me how to edit.
And it's also human. Like, we sneeze.
My allergies are crazy though.
We sneeze, you know.
But you have, okay, so we've talked about ourselves independently, but now I need to talk about you from my perspective of who you are to me. Because I wanted to do this specific project with you because I feel the most like myself around you.
That's an honor. That's an honor.
It's true. Because like, this is like really a human experience, this life, this journey. And there are people that see you, that put you on a pedestal, and there are people that see you and they think that you're below them. And like, one thing about me and my best friend is we're always here.
Yeah.
Okay? And I feel like when someone really sees you, like, that's love. Like, to be seen.
Yeah.
And like,
seen at your core.
Friendships are that. Friendships are like, I have no obligation to be here. You have no obligation to be here.
I'm choosing you over and over.
Yeah. I'm choosing.
There's no contract.
to hear you.
Maybe
like,
a spiritual one.
literally.
Maybe a spiritual contract, but
And
there's
to
no physical
accept
contract.
you, and to accept you.
Yeah.
And I've felt like there have been people that have opened up to me that I haven't felt that connection to, and there have been people I've opened up to that I can tell, like, they're friends with a version of me, but I can't outgrow that version.
Yeah.
And I think when you've been friends with somebody for 20 years, you've become friends with every version of them.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful.
And that's the tea. That's the tea. But yeah, I think we're gonna wrap this up soon. But yeah, it's been a journey. Like, we've both evolved in so many different ways. Our journeys have had a lot of twists and twists and turns. And yeah, like, even me, like, doing psychology, like, I still have a love for mental health, and people, and growth and evolution and spirituality. I definitely still have that love. I've had a lot of encounters with people who've had mental health episodes, like, both in my family and friends, and like, I just wanted to understand humans more, and behavior. So yeah, but it's interesting because I'm not even in my field of work right now. Like, in my personal life, yes, I still practice, like, psychology, but I'm actually in the mortgage industry. Like, what the fuck?
But even with my own mental health journey, I went from being diagnosed, had multiple diagnoses. I have been, like, went to institutions, I have been in therapy, I've done all this stuff, to coming to a point in my life where they're like I've had psychologists tell me, like, you're fine. Like, whatever you did worked. And I've lost friends to mental illness, and I think that mental health is sometimes, just like our physical health, is something that's and our spiritual health, it's not something that we should be thinking of when it's not going well. We should be having these conversations about it all the time, because it's who we are as humans in this physical world. We have to take care of our spiritual, mental, and physical health.
It should be preventative rather than reactive, right? Because we all have mental health. It's like, sometimes we have optimal mental health, sometimes we have poor mental health. Like, sometimes it can fluctuate, but it's also based on, like, how you're taking care of yourself, who you're around, who you're spending time with, what you're accepting in your life, how much rest you're getting, what you're consuming, you know? So all
and I
these
used
things.
to think, like, I'll leave those conversations to the professionals. And then I realized, like, if you've lost friends or family to mental illness, if you've experienced mental illness, you are the professional. You are the one who knows what's going on.
You know the best. Okay?
Right.
You know the best about yourself.
Right.
You know deep down inside, if you search, what you need.
Yeah. And everything else is just a tool or a facilitator. But you're it, baby.
You it.
Well, cheers, my love.
Cheers to episode 2.
To episode 2.